Well, hello. It's been a while. And I didn't think that I was going to be able to record this portion this week. And so I sent out my friend Lisa's portion to everybody. And then I had a window open up and I realized I also have never recorded this portion. I couldn't find it in last year's and I couldn't find it in the year before. So the Father opened up an opportunity to be able for me to record it. My name is Lanita. I'm the scrappy grandma, and I read the Bible. And the Father asked me to start reading the Bible online. I guess he didn't really ask me, he commanded me to, and to share my love for digging in the treasure hunt that is digging into his word every day, every week. Um, So this week is our 15th week in the portions. And I read the Torah portions, which basically is the first five books of the Bible. This week we are in Exodus and in some pretty well-known stories from this part of the Bible. And so let's start with prayer. Father Yah, I just thank you so much for the opportunity to share your word. You are holy and righteous and mighty, and you come through for us every time. You're trustworthy. You're a promise keeper. Thank you. Thank you for teaching and leading and guiding those who come to you for those things. Thank you for teaching me. Thank you for guiding and directing me in the way that we should walk. And thank you for helping me to share it with others. Father, I pray that not a word comes out of my mouth that is not of you. I want everything that I speak today to be directly from you. Holy Spirit, guide my mouth, guide my tongue, and help me to lift you up and glorify you through this time together. Bless everyone who's listening to this recording. Give them eyes to see and ears to hear your way, how to walk as Yeshua the Messiah. He is the way. We are to walk in his way. Teach us to walk as he walked, as he gave an example, to walk in covenant with you. In Yeshua's name, amen. All right. So my life has been a lot. Um, it's been a lot, and it's been a struggle, and it's been a challenge, and I feel like every morning I strap into a roller coaster and just like, okay, where are we going today? And hang on. So I feel really blessed to have this opportunity to be able to have an extra couple of minutes because literally for the past month or so, pretty much since we started preparing for my dad to come live here, I have not had any extra time. Um, does this say mute? Is it muted? Okay, sorry. Technical stuff I'm still working on here. Okay, so this is the 15th Torah portion, Bo. Bo means come. And let me tell you, this comes at a perfect, like he does, comes as a perfect time. Um, I had shared some struggles I was having with my pod, we call it. We have discipleship pods in our Agape Love Women's Ministry group, and we have a pod of three because a threefold cord is not easily broken. And I shared with my pod just some struggles that I've been going through, and one of my friends sent me last night the song for the week with Agape Love, the song that goes with this portion, Bo Yeshua. And it hit right on the head. And I will make a note, share song link. Now, if I'll remember to do that, to share the song link in the description, because it hit. And it shows, just another reminder that he is in control. He is sovereign. He is always right on time, and he loves to show off. So, the 15th Torah portion, Bo, and I'm reading the commentary out of this year's Torah portion workbook. It is a beautiful workbook. I have the link in the description where you can get these workbooks to follow along, and you can, it tells about the portion, what the portions are. Oh, I need to give you that. And you can like break down words. The whole book of Exodus in Hebrew is actually called names. And so names are really important through this, but then there's just lots of pages for notes and even a page for you to, I know people do diagrams and stuff on here. So, um, bow portion is Exodus 10:1 through 13:16. The prophets is Jeremiah 46:13 through 28. And the New Testament or the Gospels is John 19:31 through 37. And so the 15th Torah portion, bo, means come. Um, One of the things we hear or and say, especially with the condition of the world today, is bo Yeshua bo. Come, Jesus, come. Um, the 15th Torah portion, Bo, come, recounts the climax of the plagues and the dramatic liberation of the Israelites from Egypt. God sends the final three plagues, locust, darkness, and the death of the Egyptian firstborn. Pharaoh stubbornly resists until the final devastating plague strikes, leading him to finally relent and allow the Israelites to leave. Before the final plague, God gives Moses instruction for the first Passover, including the sacrifice of a lamb, the marking of the doorposts with its blood to protect the Israelites, and the eating of unleavened bread. The Israelites follow these commands, and the plague passes over their homes. The portion also describes Israel's dramatic departure from Egypt, their rapid exodus with unleavened bread in hand, and God's command to remember this event for generations to come through the annual celebration of Passover. Bo emphasizes themes of redemption, obedience, and the establishments of rituals to connect the people to their history and relationship with God. It marks the moment when the Israelites leave slavery behind and begin their journey towards becoming a nation. And this is something that's really interesting is in the Christian church, we recount this, but in actually observing and celebrating true Passover, that's where you learn. Well, the whole purpose is to teach the generations, to teach his ways of doing things. And sadly, when, Passover, in the Christian church, oh, happy Passover. We didn't really do anything Passover-ish. We just went, hey, it's a great day. God passed over and didn't kill the Hebrew sons. That's pretty much it. And then Easter, the big celebration. But Easter doesn't train and teach how to walk in covenant. Easter, Passover trains us up and teaches us how he, the Most High, wants us to walk in covenant with him. And so, these feasts that he has aligned out for us, it's just, and I was there, that's so it's very similar. The Israelites were in Egypt for, you know, 400 years, I think, total, something like that. Um, but, or 200, I forget now, unfortunately, 250 years in slavery. I'm not sure. But anyway, but they were there. So what, our country, the United States, is 250 years old. Um, and we have grown up in the traditions that our parents learned from their parents, who learned from their parents and learned from their parents. And that's what was happening to the Hebrews, the Israelites in Egypt. They started assimilating. They started, they looked Egyptian, they acted Egyptian, and they assimilated and started taking on Egypt. They got Egypt in them, like we have our world culture in us today. And he had to go, whoa, let's get back to the beginning. Let's start over. And here's a beautiful opportunity for us to really start doing an audit in our lives of what, how much, how much Egypt we have in us and where it needs to be removed. And so, and that's a lot of what the feast, his feasts, do for us. They help us to recount and to remember what he does and teach us how to walk in covenant with him in his kingdom, not in this worldly Babylonian kingdom that we live in currently. So, um, okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and pull up. Let me see. I have to share my screen and let me see how. I think we were going to do this one. I'm trying some new things. I used to just have me on the camera, but there we go. I'd like for you to be able to follow along, either in your own Bible or here with me. Okay. So we start in Exodus 10:1, the eighth plague, the locusts. So in some of the first couple of plagues, I found this really interesting. We had the Israelites had to suffer through some of the first plagues. And I've really been feeling as though we're very, very close to judgment being poured out on us currently. The plagues, the judgment plagues. And we're going to have to endure some of them. But then at a certain point, the Most High protects his own. And then the plagues are just poured out on the people who have not chosen to walk in his ways. So, and I believe so. This is where I'm taking all of this, and it's like it's so very pertinent for today's world and today's life because we are living just like they were living. We're slaves to a government that we may or may not agree with how it's acting. We're slaves to paying taxes. We're slaves to following laws that aren't righteous. We have become slaves to this world society, this world. So we are essentially living in Egypt. And there's coming a time when there is the second Exodus coming, where we will be taken to the land. And so, um, we're going to suffer some of the plagues. We are. And so we need to prepare. It's one of the things the Father spoke to me this past a week or so ago. He's like, pull back, pay attention to what's going on in the world right now, and prepare. And so I've been seeking him in what exactly all of that means. And he's been revealing to me a lot. And I'll share with you as I'm learning, or what he's been sharing with me. So, all right, Exodus 10:1. Adonai said to Moshe, go to Pharaoh, for I have made him and his servants hard-hearted, so that I can demonstrate these signs of mine among them. So I was always like, why would the Most High make Pharaoh hard-hearted? I mean, it just seems so unfair. But he did it so one, not only he could reveal himself to the Egyptians, but more so that he could reveal himself to the Israelites, his own, because they've been immersed like we are in the world system. And he has to show himself, his power, his sovereignty to all of them. So um, Adonai said to Moshe, "Go to Pharaoh, for I have made him and his servants hard-hearted, so that I can demonstrate these signs of mine among them, so that you can tell your sons and grandsons about what I did to Egypt and about my signs that I demonstrated among them, so that you will all know that I am Adonai." So he's doing this. So we can look at our world situation right now, and whether you're for our government or not for our government or whatever, you can see the things that are going on, and you're like, this, that. He's allowing these things to happen so that we can see his hand move. So we can see the signs that he's demonstrating through all of this. So Moshe and Aharon went into Pharaoh and said to him, "Here's what Adonai, God of the Hebrews, says. How much longer will you refuse to submit to me? Let my people go so that they can worship me. Otherwise, if you refuse to let my people go tomorrow, I will bring locusts into your territory. One won't be able to see the ground, so completely will the locusts cover it. They will eat anything you still have that escaped the hail, including every tree you have grown in the field. They will fill your houses and those of your servants and all the Egyptians. It will be like nothing your fathers or their fathers have ever seen since the day they were born until today." Notice it's going to be all of the Egyptians. Um, the Hebrews that are all living in the land of Goshen are all being covered and protected at this time. And I heard a teaching yesterday, and it was like, what was it like? Like, was there just this invisible wall between Goshen, and the rest of Egypt, where you're standing on one side and it's hail and lightning and brimstone, everything coming down, and the frogs. Well, I think the frogs. I'm not sure if the frogs had went into Israel or not, but anyway, these things are happening over there. Is there a wall and the locusts are all on that side, but not on this side? It's just interesting to kind of put your mind there and see, what it must have been like. And here, right, it's, fill your houses, nothing you've seen since they were born until today. Then he turned his back and left. Pharaoh's servant said to him, "How much longer must this fellow be a snare for us? Let the people go and worship Adonai, their God. Don't you understand yet that Egypt is being destroyed?" Look at our country right now. It's being destroyed. So Moshe and Aharon were brought to Pharaoh again, and he said to them, "Go worship Adonai your God." But who exactly is going? And Moshe answered, "We will go with our young and our old, our sons and our daughters, and we will go with our flocks and our herds, for we must celebrate a feast to Adonai." Pharaoh said to them, "Adonai certainly will be with you if I ever let you go with your children. It's clear that you are up to no good. Nothing doing, just the men among you may go and worship Adonai. That's what you want, isn't it?" And they were driven out of Pharaoh's presence. Adonai said to Moshe, "Reach out your hand over the land of Egypt so that locusts will invade the land and eat every plant that the hail has left." Because you got to picture everything's destroyed. The hail came in and destroyed everything, their crops. The little bit that's left, now the locusts are going to go eat everything. And then everything in Goshen is lush and green and beautiful. Moshe reached out his staff over the land of Egypt, and Adonai caused an east wind to blow on the land all day and all night. And in the morning, the east wind brought the locusts. The locusts went up all over the land of Egypt and settled throughout Egypt's territory, and it was an invasion more severe than there had been before or ever will be again. They completely covered the ground so that the ground looked black. They ate every plant growing from the ground and all the fruit trees left by the hail. Not one green thing remained, not a tree, not a plant in the field, and all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh hurried to summon Moshe, Aaron, and said, "I have sinned against Adonai your God and against you. Now, therefore, please forgive my sin just this once and intercede with Adonai your God so that he will at least take away from me this deadly plague." He went out from Pharaoh and interceded with Adonai. And Adonai reversed the wind and made it blow very strongly from the west. And it took up the locusts and drove them into the sea of Suf. Not one locust remained on Egyptian soil. But Adonai made Pharaoh hard hearted, and he didn't let the people of Israel go. Are we prepared to, one, go through some of these plagues and then watch? You know, are we preparing ourselves? And the Father told me several years ago to start preparing for the hard times that are coming. And so I instantly jumped into homesteading and putting food away and raising my own meat chickens and doing things. And then as we've, worked through time, um, I'm now where the preparation that we need to do now is to prepare our hearts and our minds and our spirits to walk in his ways. And in this, something he's really been pressing upon me is to do a time audit. How much time are we spending knocking, seeking, and asking? How much time are we loving him with our heart, mind, body, soul, and strength? That needs to increase, and the world needs to decrease so that we can properly prepare for what's coming. Okay, so Adonai said to Moshe, reach out your hand toward the sky, and there will be darkness over the land of Egypt. Darkness so thick it can be felt. Moshe reached out his hand toward the sky, and there was a thick darkness in the entire land of Egypt for 3 days. People couldn't see each other, and no one went anywhere for 3 days, but all the people of Israel had light in their homes. Okay, in their homes. Interesting. So here's Goshen. They got lights on. There's Egypt. Thick, dark blackness. Interesting. Pharaoh summoned Moshe and said, go worship Adonai, only leave your flocks and herds behind. Your children may go with you. And Moshe answered, you must also see to it that we have sacrifices and burnt offerings so that we can sacrifice to Adonai our God. Our livestock will go with us. Not a hoof will be left behind because we must choose some of them to worship Adonai our God. And we don't know which ones we will need to worship Adonai until we get there. But Adonai made Pharaoh hard-hearted, and he would not let them go. Pharaoh said to them, and can we see that some of this is going on in our world? It's like, why are these people doing these things out in the world? We're talking about US. There's some crazy stuff going on. If you're watching, I don't watch the news much, but he told me to pay attention and prepare. And so he has been having me watch the world stage. What's going on in Syria? What's going on in Israel? What's going on in Iran? What's going on over there, especially? um, and, you know, we're like, why are these people making these decisions that are actually making things worse, it appears, to our eyes? And possibly the Most High is hardening their hearts and causing them to do things so that his power will be seen and very clear. So anyway, Pharaoh said to them, get away from me, and you had better not see my face again, because the day you see my face, you will die. And Moshe answered, well spoken. I will see your face no more. Adonai said to Moshe, I'm going to bring still one more plague on Pharaoh and Egypt, and after that I will let you leave here. When he does let you go, he will throw you out completely. Now tell the people that every man is to ask his neighbor and every woman her neighbor for gold and silver jewelry. Isn't, think about this. He's providing for his own here. Adonai made the Egyptians favorably disposed towards the people. Moreover, Moshe was regarded by Pharaoh's servants and the people as a very great man in the land of Egypt. Moshe said, here's what Adonai says, about midnight I will go out into Egypt, and all the firstborn in the land of Egypt will die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh sitting on the throne to the firstborn of the slave girl at the hand mill, and all the firstborn of the livestock. There will be a horrendous wailing throughout the land of Egypt. There has never been another like it, and there never will be again. But not even a dog's growl will be heard against any of the people of Israel, neither against the people nor against the animals. In this way, you will realize that Adonai distinguishes between the Egyptians and Israel. All your servants will come down to me, prostrate themselves before me, and say, Get out, you and all the people who follow you. And after that, I will go out. And he went from Pharaoh in the heat of anger. Adonai said to Moshe, Pharaoh will not listen to you, so that still one more of my wonders will be shown in the land of Egypt. Moshe and Aaron did all these wonders before Pharaoh, but Adonai had made Pharaoh hard-hearted, and he didn't let the people of Israel leave the land. Adonai spoke to Moshe and Aaron in the land of Egypt, and he said, You are to begin your calendar with this month, and it will be the first month of the year for you. One of the things I have learned since I started reading the Bible and doing what it says is that he has this beautiful, what is it, pattern and beautiful, what's the word? It's not coming to me. Mm, darn it. It's not coming to me. The seasons and everything. So this is in the spring. And this is when the calendar begins. And when you follow the Most High's calendar, life makes so much more sense. And he's just got a beautiful, I don't want to say system. Uh, it's just, the word's not coming to me. It's there, but it's not there. So anyway, so you're to begin your calendar with this month. It will be the first month of the year for you. Speak to all the assembly of Israel and say, on the 10th month of this, on the 10th. So, okay. Speak to all the assembly of Israel and say, on the 10th day of this month, each man is to take a lamb or kid for his household, one per household. See, this is so interesting how specific the Most High is, how specific the Father is on how he wants to be worshiped. It's so hard nowadays because we've not been taught these things. So how it was just all willy-nilly, oh, this is what it means to me in my heart, but it's not important what it means to us in our hearts. It's important what it means to him and how he has directed us, how he wants to be worshiped. He's very specific about how he wants to be worshiped and how he doesn't want to be worshiped. So, except that if the household is too small for a whole lamb or kid, then he and his next door neighbor should share one, dividing it in proportion to the number of people eating it. One of the things I'm learning with his ways is community. It's he he is so big on community and collective honor and collective shame and doing life together with like kind and like mind. We'll be getting into that about how, or well, even in the creation, how he made plants of like kind and like mind, or like kind and seeds of their own kind, and how we're to be in community with those who are also walking this path with us. There's no lone rangers out there. So, anyway, your animal must be without defect, a male in its first year, and you may choose it from either the sheep or the goats. You are to keep it until the 14th day of the month. So they take it in on the 10th day. And so what they do is they take this little lamb into their, and it's in the first year. So it's not even a year old, little lamb into their house, and they keep it there for 4 days. And so you're to keep it until the 14th day of the month, and then the entire assembly of the community of Israel will slaughter it at dusk. So this is across the board. They are to take some of the blood and smear it on the two sides and top of the door frame at the entrance of the house in which they eat it. That night they are to eat the meat roasted in fire. They are to eat it with matzah and marar, which is um, unleavened bread, and bitter herbs. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. Let me see what marar means. That's probably what it means. Marar, Maror. Bitter herbs eaten at the Passover Seder. Okay, so yes, eat it with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. Don't eat it raw, or boiled, but roasted in the fire with its head, the lower parts of its legs, and its inner organs. So they just basically put it on the spit and roast the whole thing. Let nothing of it remain until morning. If any of it does remain, burn it up completely. So basically, eat to your fill, eat as much as you possibly can, and then let the rest burn up in the fire. Here's how you're to eat it: with your belt fastened and your shoes on your feet and your staff in your hand, and you are to eat it hurriedly. It is Adonai's Pesach, Passover. So see how specific he's being. I mean, there's no room or no area of confusion here. He is being very specific. I want this, I want this, I want this, and this is how you're to do it. And our brains just complicate or decide that we'd like something different. For that night, I will pass through the land of Egypt and kill all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both men and animals. I will execute judgment against all the gods of Egypt. I am Adonai. And that's, all of these plagues, excuse me, in Egypt were all against Egypt's gods. Um, so that's he's executing judgment against their gods. So let's put it into modern world. What gods of our modern world is he going to execute judgment over? Um, hmm, Probably our financial system, our medical system, maybe, because a lot of people put medicine and science as their god. They trust it over the Most High. Finances, trust, every, what are this current world's gods that he's going to pass judgment on, execute judgment on? The blood will serve you as a sign, making the houses where you are. When I see the blood, I'll pass over. Um, in Hebrew, that means Pesach. I'll pass over you, and I will strike the land of Egypt. The death blow will not strike you. This will be a day for you to remember and celebrate as a festival to Adonai from generation to generation. You are to celebrate it by a perpetual regulation. You can't get any clearer than that. Okay, and then people will argue, well, that's just for the Jews. When we choose to walk in covenant with him, aren't we being grafted into the commonwealth of Israel? That's what the Bible says. So this is for all of his people who follow him. Now, of course, we're not in the land, so we can't follow it exactly, but it's from generation to generation to celebrate it by a perpetual regulation. That's legal terms. For 7 days you are to eat matzah. On the first day, remove the leaven from your houses. For whoever eats hamatz, leavened bread, from the first to the seventh day is to be cut off from Israel because they're being disobedient. He's very clear here. On the first, we don't have to understand what it is he's asking us to do or commanding us to do. We just need to be obedient. When we were children and our parents told us something, we needed to obey even if we understood it or not. On the first and the seventh days, you are to have an assembly set aside for God. And on these days, no work is to be done except what each must do to prepare his food. You may do only that. So on the first and the seventh day of unleavened bread, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, are basically two high holy days. They're like a Sabbath. You don't work. You set it aside to spend time with him and others, like kind, like mind. You are to observe the festival of matzah, unleavened bread. For on this very day I brought your divisions out of the land of Egypt. Therefore, you are to observe this day from generation to generation by a perpetual regulation. So we're supposed to observe the Passover. Then now we're supposed to observe the week of unleavened bread. And let me tell you, since I've started, and it's been a process and a journey and an uncovering and unlayering, trying to figure out how we're supposed to do it, not in the land. Okay, Egypt was doing it not in the land. I'm sorry, Israel was doing it in Egypt. So they were not in the land, similar to where we are today. They were not in the land. They were in Egypt. They had not been taken to the land yet. And they're being told here from generation to generation by a perpetual regulation. So here's, the Sabbath is our first feast that he set apart for us during the first 7 days of creation. Guard the Sabbath and rest because he rested and made it set apart. It's a special day, the seventh day. And now we have Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread. From the evening of the 14th day of the first month until the evening of the 21st day, you are to eat matzah, unleavened bread. During those 7 days, no leaven is to be found in your houses, and whoever eats food with hamatz, which is leaven, is to be cut off from the community of Israel. It doesn't matter whether he's a foreigner or a citizen of the land. Now, here you go. Even the foreigners were being asked to do this. And if they didn't, then they could no longer be attached to the Commonwealth of Israel, the community of Israel. Eat nothing with hamatz in it, with leaven in it. Wherever you live, eat matzah. So, what does that mean? Wherever we live to this day, because it's a perpetual, what did generation, a perpetual regulation from generation to generation. It's so clear when we literally slow down and not just reading it to check a box. Oh, I read Exodus, but read what his commands are, what he wants from us. So wherever you live, eat matzah, eat unleavened bread. Then Moshe called for all the leaders of Israel and said, select and take lambs for your families and slaughter the Pesach lamb. Take a bunch of hyssop leaves and dip it in the blood, which is in the basin, and smear it on the two sides of the top of the door frame. And then none of you is to go out of the door of his house until morning. For Adonai will pass through and kill the Egyptians. But when he sees the blood on top of the two sides, Adonai will pass over the door and will not allow the slaughter to enter your house and kill it. What if he came to us and said, I want you guys to do this? I'm going to go through and I'm going to kill all the ungodly and I want you to do this. Are we going to take it serious? Are we going to do, what is it he's going to come and tell us to do as we prepare for the second Exodus? And I forget where it's at. Where is it? It talks about how the second Exodus will be so great that we won't even remember this first Exodus. Here a second. The Bible verse is about the second Exodus. Jeremiah 31:7-11. For thus says, sorry, where to go? I lost it. Oh, here we go. Back up here. Well, now. For thus says the Lord, sing with gladness for Jacob and shout among the chief of the nations, proclaim, give praise and say, O Lord, save your people, the remnant of Israel. Behold, I will bring them from the north country and gather them from the ends of the earth, among them the blind and the lame, the women with child, and the one who labors with child together. A great throng shall return there. They shall come with weeping and with supplications. I will lead them. I will cause them to walk by the rivers of waters in a straight way in which they shall not stumble. For I am a father to Israel, and Ephraim is the 10 lost tribes. What did Jesus say? He came for the 10 lost tribes. The 10 lost tribes are the ones that have gone out into all the nations and assimilated and mingled and Like, I found out that I have Jewish blood. I'm part of Ephraim. We are. If he's waking us up to his ways, we are Ephraim. Ephraim is my firstborn. Hear, O word, O Lord, nations, and declare it, the isles far off, and say, He who scattered Israel will gather him and keep him as the shepherd does his flock. For the Lord has redeemed Jacob and ransomed him from the hand of the stronger. Well, okay. Okay, it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand against again the second time to recover the remnant of his people who are left from Assyria and Egypt and Pathros and Cush and Elam and Shinar and Hamath and the islands of the sea. And he will set up a banner for the nations and will assemble the outcasts of Israel and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Now it shall come to pass in later days. This is like Isaiah 2, 2 through 8. I'm trying to find the one where it says that it will be greater than the first Exodus, and we won't even, from that time on, everyone will be talking about the second Exodus and the first Exodus. This Exodus will completely be forgotten about. Oh, darn. Oh, well. I can't find it, and I don't want to take the time right now. But so, um, you are to observe this law, and you and your descendants forever. Big word there, forever. When you come to the land which Adonai will give you, as he promised, you are to observe this ceremony. When your children ask you, what do you mean by this ceremony? See, this is all to teach our children how to walk in his ways. Say it is the sacrifice of Adonai's Pesach, Passover, because Adonai passed over the house of the people of Israel in Egypt when he killed the Egyptians, but spared our houses. The people of Israel bowed their heads and worshiped. Then the people of Israel went and did as Adonai had ordered Moshe and Aharon. That is what they did. At midnight, Adonai killed all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh sitting on his throne to the firstborn of the prisoner in the dungeons, and all the firstborn of livestock. So we have to assume that Pharaoh was not a firstborn because he didn't die, but his son did, his firstborn. Pharaoh got up in the night, all of his servants and all the Egyptians, and there was a horrendous wailing in Egypt, for there wasn't a single house without someone dead in it. He summoned Moshe and Aharon by night and said, Up and leave my people before you and the people of Israel. I'm saying both you and the people of Israel, and go serve Adonai as you said. Take both your flocks and your herds as you said, and get out of here. But bless me too. The Egyptians pressed to send the people out of the land quickly because they said, Otherwise, we'll all be dead. The people took their dough before it had become leavened and wrapped their kneading bowls in their clothes on their shoulders. And the people of Israel had done what Moshe had said. They had asked the Egyptians to give them silver and gold jewelry and clothing. He thinks of everything. And Adonai had made the Egyptians so favorably disposed towards the people that they had let them have whatever they requested. Thus, they plundered the Egyptians. Now, think about it. Most of this silver and gold is going to actually become the tabernacle. The people, I mean, because what do they need it for out there in the wilderness? They don't need silver and gold, but yet they took it and they're carrying it with them. The people of Israel traveled from Ramses to Sukkot, some 600,000 men, 600,000 men on foot, not counting the children. 600,000. A mixed crowd. Okay, so there was only 70 of them when they came to Egypt. Yaakov, Jacob, Israel, and his sons and their family, there were 70. Now there's 600,000 men, just the men. A mixed crowd, that would be us, those of us, a mixed crowd also went up with them, as well as livestock in large numbers, both flocks and herds. Can you imagine, the Egyptians are watching all this go down, and all of a sudden they're like, I think I want to serve your God because he took care of you and our gods failed us. because basically that's what the Most High did. That's what Yah did, is Yahweh showed that their gods didn't take care of them because he used their gods to destroy them. They baked matzah loaves from the dough they had brought out of Egypt, since it was unleavened, because they had been driven out of Egypt without time to prepare supplies for themselves. The time the people of Israel lived in Egypt was 430 years. Okay, so earlier when I said they had been in Egypt for 400 years, they were in Egypt for 430 years. And at the end of 430 years, to the day, all the divisions of Adonai left the land of Egypt. This was the night when Adonai kept vigil to bring them out of the land of Egypt. And this same night continues to be a night when Adonai keeps vigil for all the people of Israel throughout all their generations. Isn't that a beautiful promise? Adonai said to Moshe and Aaron, "This is the regulation for the Pesach lamb. No foreigner is to eat it." Here it adds another layer. But if anyone has a slave he bought with money, when you have circumcised him, you may eat it. So that is the one regulation for all of this, is that you have to be circumcised. Now, this is a circumcision of the body, a male circumcised. But and he also talks about the circumcision of the heart. And so neither a traveler nor a hired servant may eat it. It is to be eaten in one house. You are not to take any of the meat outside of the house, and you are not to break any of its bones. The whole community of Israel is to keep it. If a foreigner is staying with you and wants to observe Adonai's Pesach, all his males must be circumcised. Then he may take part and observe it. He will be like a citizen of the land. See, a foreigner can become a citizen of the land, but no uncircumcised person is to eat it. The same teaching is to apply equally to the citizen and to the foreigner living among you. He makes no distinction. If you're a foreigner who wants to walk in covenant, then you allow your heart to be circumcised. There's a lot of different things about males being circumcised currently. The way that we circumcise males to this, these days is not the circumcision that's done, to the house of Israel. All of the people of Israel did just as Adonai had ordered Moshe and Aharon. On that very day, Adonai brought the people of Israel out of the land of Egypt by their divisions. This is beautiful, is his feasts lift him up and glorify him and his ways. The feasts that we have adopted in our current Egypt, they say that he's the reason for the season, but let's be real. Let's really break it down. If we're participating in things like egg hunts and Easter bunnies and Santa and Christmas trees and stuff like that, those in no way honor and glorify him. Yes, we can have a heart posture where we're thankful for, that Yeshua was born. There's nowhere in the Bible that says where Yeshua told anybody, Jesus told anybody, hey, celebrate my birthday every year. In fact, the only birthdays that were celebrated in the Bible were birthdays of the pagan or the other nations, Herod's birthday. You know, nowhere in nowhere does it have where we're supposed to celebrate birthdays. But and Jesus never, think about how meek and how gentle, and Jesus would never go, hey, I want you to celebrate my birthday every year. I don't know, just something I've always, not always, just since I've studied and looked into it more, it's like nowhere does he say to do these things. And then, the Catholic Church changed the Passover celebration that's completely detailed out in here to the Easter celebration, which is nowhere in the Bible either. And Adonai said to Moshe, set aside for me all the firstborn. Whatever is firstborn from the womb among the people of Israel, both the humans and animals belong to me. So At this point in time, all of the firstborn humans and animals are supposed to be consecrated to the Most High, meaning they're to be their priests, the priests. So the firstborn is to be the priest in the home. Um, and the firstborn animal is to be consecrated to the Most High as well. That does change. But currently, the firstborn is supposed to be consecrated. The Feast of Unleavened Bread. Moshe said to the people, remember this day on which you left Egypt, the abode of slavery, because Adonai, by the strength of his hand, has brought you out of this place. Do not eat hamatz, leaven. You are leaving today in the month of Aviv. That's the first month. It's coming up. I think we're like, in fact, I'm doing a new moon call in a couple of hours for this month's, and I've got to go get my new moon book. I think we're in like the 11th month right now. When Adonai brings you to the land of Canaani, Hitti, Amori, Hivi, and Yuvishi, which he swore to your ancestors to give you, a land flowing with milk and honey, you are to observe this ceremony in this month. For 7 days you are to eat matzah, and on the seventh day it is to be a festival for Adonai. So we have a beautiful party. Matzah is to be eaten throughout the 7 days. Neither hamatz nor leavening agents are to be seen with you throughout your territory. On that day, you are to tell your son, it is because of what Adonai did for me when I left Egypt. Moreover, it will serve you as a sign on your hand and as a reminder between your eyes, so that Adonai's Torah may be on your lips, because with the strong hand, Adonai brought you out of Egypt. So a lot of times when you hear a sign on your hand or a reminder between your eyes. Okay, so your hands are what you do. You and your between your eyes, your mind is what you can believe, and your lips is what you proclaim. So, therefore, you are to observe this regulation at its proper time, year after year. When Adonai brings you into the land of Canaan, as he swore to you and your ancestors, and gives it to you, you are to set apart for Adonai everything that is firstborn from the womb. Set apart means holy. They are to be consecrated. Every firstborn male animal will belong to Adonai. So it doesn't belong to the people, it belongs to Adonai. And I always had a challenge with this is, why is he going in and making them take other people's land? Until I did research and study, the Canaanites, Canaan was cursed because of what happened with Ham and Noah. And Canaan was supposed to receive that, in his inheritance, Canaan was supposed to receive, well, Ham's children were supposed to receive the land to the south, which is basically Africa, Egypt and below Africa. And Shem was supposed to receive, his inheritance was the land to the east, which is the land of Israel. And Canaan went in and basically took the land. And so they're unlawfully. And so, because I was like, oh, but my gosh, he's like going and having him slaughter all these people to get this land. And, how is that fair? And I know a lot of people believe that to this day. That's, what's going on over there right now. It's like, oh, these people, that's their land. And it's like, go all the way back into history. It wasn't their land. They took the land, and the father gave the land back a few times now. So, anyway, every firstborn from a donkey you are to redeem with a lamb. So, your donkey has its first little donkey, and you give a lamb in its place. But if you choose not to redeem it, you must break its neck. But from people, you are to redeem every firstborn son. They're to be set apart and consecrated. When at some future time your son asks you, what is this? Then say to him, with a strong hand, Adonai brought it. And whenever it says a strong hand or his righteous right hand, his hand is Yeshua, is Jesus. Jesus is the body. Jesus is, his righteous right hand. With a strong hand, see, it talks about Jesus right here. in the Old Testament. With a strong hand, Adonai brought us out of Egypt, out of the abode of slavery. When Pharaoh was unwilling to let us go, Adonai killed all the firstborn males in the land of Egypt, both the firstborn of humans and the firstborn of animals. This is why I sacrifice to Adonai any male that is the first from the womb of, of an animal, but all the firstborn of my sons I redeem. This is to serve as a sign on your hand and the front of your headband around your forehead that with a strong hand Adonai brought us out of Egypt. So we're to remember it in what we do and what we think and what we say and remind ourselves every year continuously. And it's beautiful because we not only get to go through this portion right now and remember what he did and how he works and what he does, but we get to do it in a couple of months when we actually have the Passover in March or April, whenever it's coming this year. Actually, well, I don't have, oh, you know what? I do. Sec. I just printed it out. Um, so Passover, it begins at twilight on April 1st, followed by unleavened bread. And unleavened bread's high holy days are sunset April 1st to sunset April 2nd. And that's a high Sabbath where we don't do no work and we come together with others. And then at the end of it, sunset from April 7th to sunset April 8th. That's another high Sabbath. So I just printed this off so I can go put it on my calendar and Rusty can get the days off from work so that we can celebrate these days. So, all right, that is the Torah portion. Now let's do the Haftarah. It's Jeremiah, and it's Jeremiah 46:13. This is the word Adonai spoke to Yeremiah, the prophet Jeremiah, concerning how, yeah, Nebuchadrezzar, king of Babel, would come and attack the land of Egypt. So this is prophecy about the king of the Babylonians coming and attack the land of Egypt. Proclaim in Egypt, announce in Migdol, announce in Noph and Tach, Ponchas, say, take your stand, get ready, for all around you the sword is destroying. Why has your strong one been overthrown? He failed to stand because Adonai pushed him down. He caused many to trip. Yes, they fell all over each other. Then they said, let's go up. Let's return to our own people, back to the land where we were born, away from the sword that destroys. They cried there, Pharaoh, king of Egypt, makes noise, but he lets the right time for action slip by. As I live, says the king, whose name is Adonai Zavaot, when he comes, he will be as mighty as Tavar among the mountains and Carmel next to the sea. Daughter living in Egypt, prepare what you need for exile. For Noph will become a ruin, laid waste without inhabitant. Egypt is a beautiful female calf, but a horsefly from the north has come to attack her. Her mercenaries, too, that she had with her, were like well fed calves in a stable, but they too had withdrawn in retreat. They all ran away without standing their ground. For their day of disaster has come over them, the time for them to be punished. Egypt hissed like a snake as the enemy's armies marched ahead, attacking her with their axes like lumbermen chopping trees. They cut down her forests, and they say to Adonai, for they cannot be numbered. Yes, there are more of them than locusts, far too many to count. The daughter of Egypt is put to shame, handed over to the people from the north. Adonai Zavaot, the God of Israel, says, I will punish Ammon from Pharaoh and Egypt with her gods and kings, that is, Pharaoh and those who trust in him. I will hand them over to those who seek their lives, to Nebuchadnezzar, Dressar, king of Babel. I wonder if that's Nebuchadnezzar. I bet you it is Nebuchadnezzar and his servants. But afterwards, Egypt will be inhabited as in the past, says Adonai. Yet don't be afraid, Yaakov, Jacob, my servant, don't be distressed, Israel, for I will save you from faraway places and your offspring from the lands where they are held captive. Yaakov will return and be at peace, quiet, with no one to make him afraid. Don't be afraid, Yaakov, my servant, says Adonai, for I am with you. I will finish off all of the nations where I have scattered you. However, you will not be finished off. I will discipline you as you deserve, but not completely destroy you. Now, the Haftarah, so, and I've heard two different things. One, it's when Israel was under Greek rule, and then another was when it was under Roman rule or Babylonian, I'm sorry, Greek rule or Babylonian rule, that they were not allowed to study the Torah. So they weren't allowed to study the first five books of the Bible, the instruction manuals. So what they did is they went and they found other stories in the books of the prophets and the books of wisdom that could teach the same lessons so they can continue to teach their children the lessons that we just went over in about the Passover and being released from Egypt. So that's what that is supposed to remind us of the same. And then John 19, 31 through 37. Okay. It was preparation day, and the Judeans did not want the body to remain on the stake on Shabbat, since it was an especially important Shabbat, because it was the Passover Shabbat. So they asked Pilate to have the legs broken and the bodies removed. The soldiers came and broke the legs of the first man who had been put on the stake besides Yeshua, then the legs of the other one. But when they got to Yeshua and saw that he was already dead, they didn't break his legs. However, one of the soldiers stabbed his side with a spear, and at once blood and water flowed out. The man who saw it testified about it, and his testimony is true, and he knows that he tells the truth, so that you can trust. For these things happened in order to fulfill this passage in the Tanakh we just went through. Remember the lamb, it's not to have a broken bone. Not one of his bones will be broken. And again, another passage says, they will look at him who they've pierced. So, all right. I'm so thankful that the Father gave me a window to be able to record this today. It is actually, for me, it is living bread. This satisfies and nourishes deep into my spirit. So I'm so thankful to be able to have this opportunity to do this today. And I hope it blessed you. If you have any questions or comments or anything, please let me know. Like I said, I'm going to share the song. In fact, that's what I need to do. I just need to start sharing the song every time I record for the portion because it's a really good song. And boy, it came at the perfect time for me because I was under this dark cloud, this Leviathan spirit that has been kind of tormenting me and hovering over me for a few weeks now and getting increasingly more ominous. And I shared that with my pod sisters, and she sent me the song, and it's all about this. So, perfect timing. And like I said, um, nourishment to my soul, to my spirit. So, be blessed and have a fabulous week and do a time audit. How much time are you actually seeking, knocking, and asking? Um, and how much time during your week are you loving Him with all your heart, mind, body, soul, and strength? Because that's what we're called to do. Seek ye first the kingdom, then everything else. So, and I'm speaking to myself because this is what I'm doing right now with myself is doing a time audit of I'm not spending enough time with him in the word, seeking, asking, and knocking. So be blessed and prayerfully. I honestly, I have no idea. I am living week to week, day to day currently. with my dad. He's currently in a skilled nursing facility, trying to work up his strength to come home, and we're getting everything, continuing to get everything put together here for him. The shower's still not done. My husband, bless his heart, he goes to work at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and doesn't get home until sometimes 6 o'clock at night. And so he's too tired. And then, you know, he had every plan to do it yesterday. And then we had a bobcat come in on Saturday. A bobcat came in and killed one of our chickens. And so he had to spend the time shoring up our chicken compound to make sure that no more of them got lost to the bobcat. So he did a little bit on the shower, but we're still working on it. So, all right. Love you. Be blessed. And we'll see you when I see you, Yah willing.